I would leave this magazine on the shelf, especially if you do not have the budget. However, I would pick up this magazine because it does have Black women in it, and the Black women are the main ones speaking to the craft and artistry of crochet. And I believe that we have just the African diasporic influence of crochet is nothing to be put to the side, but it's hidden inside this book where just this one model who is a straight size model who has blondish hair and presumably well, let me not say that. Let me not presume, but look at the image, y'all. This is not a good representation of the fact that there is some wonderful information in this book. Now, let me take a quick thumb through here because if you're wondering, probably also wondering like me, if they use the straight size model, is there anything in here for me as a plus size person? So let's look here. Okay, so we do have at the very least a chest for this tank top, sweater vest, whatever. That goes up to a 66-inch bust and a 100, which is 168 centimeters. Um, and there is about 4 to 9 centimeters or 1.5 to 3.5 inches of positive ease. So that at least here, and the same thing is going through as I'm looking through here, um, all of our all of our all of our apparel patterns. In fact, this one, Rosary, actually has a 70-inch chest circumference, but of course, this is a larger graded sweater. So that's there. And then, of course, bags. Let's see, hat. This is hat. Let's see, there's 4 sizes of this hat, and the hat circumference goes up to a 23.75-inch head. And then this little crochet granny square shirt, which the author, this particular pattern author, Maria Sordita, has said that you can expand it out and grow it as much as you need. And so, yes, she has graded up to 65.5 or 167 centimeters in the chest circumference in the finished measurements. And then there's up to 2.75 to 5.5 inches of positive ease. But once again, you may not know that there are plus size patterns in here. And you may not know how they really look because as you see, when you get to the back of the book, what's in color is this model. This is that Vincent top, the crochet granny square top that we just talked about. But what you don't, but in the back, all we see is these cartoon illustrations. And honestly, this isn't necessarily to scale. So there's no real gauge. You have to pay the $27.95 to determine if this is going to be a viable solution for you and your crocheting needs. Now, let me be clear. Laine is primarily a crochet magazine, rather a knitting magazine. Laine is primarily a knitting magazine. They have built this profile, this platform, and this is actually, now this is a special edition, but sometimes special editions even have like a volume number in there. Actually, yeah, this is a special edition of this magazine. Now, one other thing I do want to highlight now, for even though you do not visibly see the Black person and the plus size person on the cover, this, for me personally right now, considering like other options besides living here stateside, is that this shows that there is a worldwide demand for crochet. Crochet crosses borders. It crosses so many things and it makes a way. And Agnes's story really speaks to that, as well as our story on the granny squares. So that's a reason alone to, at the very least, if you see this and you're at a newsstand or a bookstore, go to those pages. Then go to those patterns, look through them hard, and consider if this is the investment you want to make. But let me tell you, I'm gonna go ahead and preview the next book review that I have, because honestly, if you want really nice granny square garments that are actually size graded, Sam Sabito. Sam, you know I've caked for you so much before, and a full review of your book is coming because your book sets a standard. And already, this is the cover image of Sam's book. Now, Sam is not a person of color, but look, she made sure that people of color, fat bodies, and especially a fat Black body is shown in all these garments. Well, I won't say all, several. There are some that are missing, but the size chart is there. There is a Black woman. She is all over that book, and she is undeniably fat and Black. But this is Laine. I realize you're trying to capture your primary audience, which is of knitters that are straight sizes that tend to be white. This is, of course, if I, as a person who's worked in media and been trained in media prior to my time going into crochet and fiber arts, I know what this is trying to sell. But the worst part is it makes it look like that Agnes Koch is this person. And especially as we know, magazines tend to have, if you have a name on the cover, it's the person on the cover. Now, this is the one thing I do hate about crochet magazines in general. They will have the pattern maker's name and their pattern, and it's supposed to be modeled. But of course, the models are not the person. And that's why I do like that, you know, we do have celebrity models that are actually there and then we talk about their story. But to be real honest, there was no reason that this magazine could not have been sold one or two ways. One is with this image of Agnes on the cover, maybe zoomed in, or even better, this image of this Black woman, this Kenyan Ugandan woman could have sold your magazine. And actually, it's exactly what sold the magazine for me, because she in one of her YouTube community posts told everybody, hey, I'm in this magazine, or it might have been Instagram. Either way, Agnes posted this and told us, hey, I'm in this magazine. Go pick it up. Otherwise, I'm like, oh, well, Laine is trying to do crochet. And since I do try to review some of these magazines and some of these fiber festivals, so you don't have to, I would pick up this magazine. And if you look like us and you have a body type where there are curves, where there is melanation, where there is kink and braid in our hair, wherever in the world you are. And of course, our sister who wrote about the granny squares is Muslima and is hijab. And in hijab, if that's what you look like and that's how you show up in the world with your crochet, then I would maybe pause and I would consider a different book like Sam's book, which we will review. And I've linked in the post so you can get ready for that review. And I want to hear from you. What are your thoughts on this? Obviously, if you have extra money, pick this up, because I do want us to support and say that selling magazines about Black women with their name and their likeness next to their name, and pattern designers, like that is her pattern design. Like she can, that all of that is there. And of course, she talks about how she drafts a little bit differently. She doesn't actually draft in pattern, she drafts by measurement. That's very important. Those of us who are plus size and mid size, and even if you're petite, or just if you have curvature on your body, if you're tall, you need to measure. Honestly, everybody needs to measure themselves. Everybody needs to measure themselves. Everybody needs to see themselves. This is a making magazine. This isn't like, oh, aspiration. This gives me no aspiration. This is misleading. And if I didn't have extra money, I would not purchase this magazine. And in a future video, I will be talking about, because this book lives bedside in my cozy corner. This book. And if you like these kinds of videos where I talk openly about my experiences at fiber festivals, with craft books, working with certain yarns in an embodied state like this. And oh, by the way, happy Pride. I'm, queer and married to a queer person. Like, and you'll see her, Chris Pattern Day. If you are into those things, please like and subscribe and come back over to this channel. And honestly, come on down here. You can go ahead and get started watching those things and go ahead and grab your favorite whip. In fact, I'm using this to make one of Agnes's patterns. And I will see you in my next video.